Hello and welcome back to another episode of The Lazy Entrepreneur. We're your hosts, Sam and Emma Priestley.
Hello.
What are you squinting at?
Oh, you haven't even told me what we're doing.
Oh, today we're doing an episode on most businesses can be run remotely. Just worse.
Just worse. Ouch.
Ouch. Yeah, I think that's true. And I wanted to bring this up because we went to a talk on the struggles of being a digital nomad a couple of days ago.
Which was as cringy as it sounds.
And someone in the audience put their hand up and asked, so what businesses do people run remotely? So does everyone here do the same sort of business? And it is weird that you do often see people doing the same sort of thing. So we're this co-working called Dojo, which has about 300 members currently, of which it's like a third of them are programmers, a third of them have like e-commerce, one-off businesses, and then the rest are doing a mixture of sort of life coaching or blogging or marketing. Actually, there's loads of marketers, aren't there? Yeah, maybe a third of them are marketers.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Either way, everyone seems to be doing quite similar things. And when we come in and people say, what do you do? And we say we run a gin business where we make alcohol, we get like the weirdest looks. And everyone's like, oh, what, you can do that remotely?
Yeah, and I think it's really cool and they want to know more because we stand out.
Because we stand out, it's a bit different. And it is quite cool. I think it's cool. That's why we do it, right?
Yeah.
Trying to look cool.
We are cool.
Well, anyway, it kind of got me thinking, is why are people doing all these sorts of businesses? And why do we not see like the huge breadth of the businesses that we see in the world and the jobs that people have in the world? Why is that not replicated in Dojo?
Yeah.
Because the truth is that most businesses and most jobs can be done remotely. Just worse. And that's the caveat. That's the caveat that we kind of got to talk about. Because there is this falsehood about remote jobs that people say you've got to find a job that you can do better or just as well remotely to be a digital nomad. Or you've got to start a business, you've got to start a remote business in order to be a digital nomad. Well, the problem is there aren't that many businesses that are better run remotely or can be run just as well remotely. And even the ones that people kind of quote and say these are good remote working businesses, it's not true. Those businesses are often better run from a set location. Pretty much all the ones we mentioned earlier, like an e-commerce business. Well, it's fine to run an e-commerce business when you're a one-man band traveling the world. But as soon as your business grows and you take on employees, having a set location is really good.
And business partnerships and relationships.
Yeah. E-commerce sometimes then goes local. Like your brand of teacups or whatever it is you sell doesn't need to always and only be online.
Yeah.
You probably want to expand it, and doing that you'll do better at if you're in one place. Same with life coaches. That seems to be the popular trend at the moment. Loads of people becoming life coaches. Well, would you rather talk to a life coach over a dodgy Skype connection halfway across the world where there's a delay between each word?
And it's hard to schedule a time.
And it's hard to schedule a time because you're 12 hours apart. Or someone you can go in and meet face to face.
Yeah.
We see a lot of like online English teachers. Well, again, like, who would you rather have, an English teacher who you meet up to face to face or someone you speak to over Skype? So yeah, these businesses can be done online, but generally you'll be better at it if you're just in one place. Same with a gin business. We did an episode back on our gin business and whether we wanted to scale it, and we had this kind of conundrum. Did we want to stay in one place, double down on the business, take on investment, get a load of employees in, and then try and make it huge? Or did we want to keep it as a lifestyle business, ticking over how it is, making a bit of money, and then just go off and do our own thing, go travelling? And we decided to go travelling. We decided to purposely not do as well at the business that we were running in order to maximise the amount of free time we have to do the stuff we want to do. And that's okay. And I think that's something that nobody will tell you, is that it's okay for your business not to reach its maximum potential. You can go off and do other things. You can get your business to a point where it's paying for your life and you're happy with it, you can run a business remotely that is worse than if you ran it from one place, and that'd be okay.
Yeah, because your priorities change, don't they?
You know, your priorities change, you have different things you care about. But also, like, what about like the cost of living?
Yeah.
The cost of living in Bali is tiny compared to the cost of living in London.
So you don't need as many sales.
You don't need as many sales. To have the same quality of life here as we would in London, we need to do a fraction of the amount of business. So yeah, our business would be better if we were based in London, but maybe it wouldn't have the same impact on the quality of our life, because we'd be working much harder, probably still reinvesting all the profits, honestly. Like, I don't think we'd be taking much out, and then living like a worse life, basically. It's just weird to say that your business doesn't need to be as good as it can be. It is okay to do a weird business that doesn't really suit remote working, but still makes some money.
I guess there's something to be said about the price, like particularly if it's like a service that you're offering, like a life coach or marketing. I think making your business remote, I think people tend to then charge out less, and therefore you're kind of downgrading yourself and your value.
Yeah, and that's the reason why your business would be better if you're based one place.
Yeah.
Because you can charge more. And people pay more because you're not competing with every other life coach or online English teacher or whatever the business is in the world, which you are if you're just remote.
Yeah, and it's a trap. Like, you have a whole podcast on pricing.
Yeah, that's well worth listening to if you're doing any sort of business, is that everybody gets their pricing wrong. I think the other thing to add that is a trap as well is that because you see some people succeeding as remote working in these things, everyone else then copies it, and then suddenly it becomes a lot harder to succeed in that business. So at Dojo, there are a lot of people struggling to make a copy of a business that someone else has succeeded at, because suddenly, like, competition's huge. Whereas we are literally the only gym business in Dojo.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's weird, right? Because a life coach, your customer could be everyone at Dojo. Could be everyone in the co-working space.
Yes.
You could legitimately sell to those people and hopefully make a bunch of money. But they're all savvy people. They know that half the people there are life coaches, and they're really skeptical, and the chance of getting many customers is just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Whereas if we went in with a pallet of gin and started selling G&Ts to people, but everyone would take us up on it.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
And they take us up on it because they want to support us as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like, it's something weird. It's like, oh, there's a gin business at Dojo. How cool is that?
But that goes back to the types of businesses people decide to do online, and they are pretty much the same. There isn't a huge amount of creativity.
And then it should be.
Which I think has surprised us about being in this massive digital nomad community here in Bali.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that's a little bit too similar.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like, a lot of that is working, so there is a reason for that, but there is a lot of similarities.
Is everyone listening to the same podcast, reading the same book, reading the same blog that's telling them to all do the same thing?
And what they're doing is they're following the pioneers of remote working and then trying to copy what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 3 points I kind of want to bring up. That are kind of the points of this episode. And that is the first one. Is that don't be afraid to do a remote job that no one has done before. Being unusual is a unique selling point. And it'll mean you're probably more likely to do better.
Yeah.
If you're working a normal job, like, yeah, you might need to take a pay cut in order to do it remotely. And you might be worse. You might need to work the same number of hours and be less productive than if you're in the office, and therefore get paid a bit less. But that's okay. Similarly, you could be doing a business like a gym business that no one has done remotely before. That's okay too. Or, like, do you know what one of the other remote businesses that I used to run? A coffee shop.
Yeah.
How on earth do you run a coffee shop remotely?
Yeah, you hardly ever went in, did you?
And when we first went travelling, do you remember me doing my conference calls
Yeah,
from hostels in like South America?
Yeah.
Calling in with the management team. Getting like the weekly stats and making decisions.
It's actually a bit ridiculous looking back, isn't it?
It's completely ludicrous, but you can do it. You can run a coffee shop from the other side of the planet due to the wonders of the internet. It's just going to be worse.
Yeah.
So there we go. The first thing, don't be afraid to do a remote job that no one has done before. being unusual is a unique selling point. So the next step is, you're probably thinking, well, that's nonsense because I need to go into the office each day, or my bosses are going to let me work remotely. Well, on to my second point is that even if you don't want to work remotely, you should get your business ready for remote work, because a business that is reliant on you means that you are the bottleneck for that business. So a good business should be able to run itself. And like, that is pretty much what all the podcast episodes we do talk about, is building a business where every step is either automated or outsourced.
Yeah, and able to scale.
And exactly. Like, if you are the person packing envelopes, packing parcels and sending them out, you are limited by how many parcels you can pack.
Well, yeah, and you're limited by the hours in your day.
Exactly. You are the bottleneck. You might be able to double the size of your business, but you can't 100 times the size of your business. Whereas you can. If you can build your business with the idea that you want to take yourself out of it, that could be so you can travel the world, or it could just be so that your business is good. Like, this is something that you should be doing anyway, even if you don't want to go travelling. That's what we have at the coffee shop. The coffee shop had a management team in place who are responsible for the day-to-day runnings. Everything about the business day-to-day was automated. It was just a strategy, larger scale decision making that I was involved with. And that could be done via emails and via, I think we had fortnightly calls about it. Or maybe it was once a month, I can't remember. Same with the gym business. We've built a supply chain that doesn't involve us at all. So for our stock to go from being made, for all the bottles to arriving at the right place, for the ingredients for the gin to get there, for then the gin to be distilled and made, for it to be put in a bottle, the label put on, the cap put on, for that then to be stored in a warehouse, and then when a customer orders online or a business wants to order another case, it then all gets sent out automatically. That is a good business. If we were trying to do that ourselves, we wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. It's not scalable.
So yeah. So you should be trying to build your business anyway, like you aren't that important to it, that you aren't the key person, you aren't the bottleneck. And also, we don't really talk about selling businesses in these podcasts. If you ever want to sell your business, you being the most important cog in the machine means your business is basically unsellable.
Yeah. You need to be removed from it.
You need to be removed from it, or else how can it ever be taken over? So there we go. So that's number 2. Get your business ready for remote work, because a good business is not reliant on you. And then the third point, which hopefully I think will be a bit more positive. Yeah, the business is going to be worse because you're running it remotely, and that's true for most businesses. But there are some benefits to working remotely, and so you should make the most of them and leverage them as much as possible. So we spoke about all the different weird people in Dojo. Someone said to us the other day that it is on the fringes of society that you meet the most creative people, you get the best ideas, you get to see people living in different lives and starting weird businesses. And that's true. In Tunbridge Wells, we met a lot of business people, but they're very...
traditional.
Yeah, we met a lot of very traditional businesses, people doing business in the same way that's been done for 200 years.
Generations, yeah.
No one in Dojo, this co-working space, is traditional.
Yeah.
None of them are running a traditional business. They're all trying to be a bit creative. They're all working it out. And just chatting to them, you get inspired and you get ideas that you wouldn't have thought about otherwise. So leverage that. The other nice thing about travelling and working remotely is that each country will have businesses that you just don't have at home. And so even though you might not be meeting the entrepreneurs behind it, you'll get inspiration from, oh, this could really work in England.
Yeah, this app or this type of restaurant or whatever it is.
This food stall or this co-working space or whatever it might be. And that's quite cool. Just travelling around, you get inspiration from stuff that we just don't have at home. Also for products. Well, I can't tell you how many times I've met someone, I've asked what their product is, and they've told me something I've never heard of before. Yeah. And they say something along the lines of, oh, when I was travelling and I was in Uzbekistan and Timbuktu or whatever, and they had this great product, this great foot scrubber or something, that I thought would do really well, so I found someone there who was making it and then imported it to the UK and started selling it. Which is good, you get inspiration. It's also your chance to then expand internationally. Check out a new market. That's one of the things we want to do with our gin, is that while we're here in Asia, we think Asia could be a really good market for Pipehouse Gin. We think that our Earl Grey and cucumber gin from Tunbridge Wells in England will do really well in places like Hong Kong. So that's what we're exploring. We're using this opportunity. We're not spending all the business money for really expensive flights to Hong Kong. We're just travelling naturally. And when we end up in these places, we're seeking out distributors and people in the know that we can talk to. Just a couple of days ago, we met a importer of alcohol here in Indonesia. So yeah, we're definitely going to talk to them about what we can do to import our gin here.
Yeah, and before that we met a drinks rep for several big drinks distributors in Hungary. We got loads of advice from her in terms of trends and working in Hungary.
Yeah, and in Ireland we met someone else who's the head of marketing for a big drinks distributor in Ireland.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so it's a bit weird, it's a bit random, but it's international expansion. Also, if you're doing e-commerce, it's a good chance to meet your suppliers. You know, I say that if you're running a business where you're finding a factory in China to make something for you, and you're importing it to the West and selling it, you don't need to go and meet them, and often it's cheaper for you to create your first product or get loads of samples through than it is to fly out there. And often flying out there isn't as useful as you think it would be. But if you're in that part of the world anyway, why not go and meet them? Why not go and see them and help build that relationship? Another opportunity, another good thing about it, is to take great photos of your products, of your brand.
Yeah.
Do some marketing. There's a guy here living in the same hotel as us who makes jeans for guys whose thighs are too big for regular jeans.
They go to the gym a lot.
Yeah. And so the other day we said, what have you been up to today? He said, oh, well, at this co-working space you go to, he met someone who's a professional photographer, he met someone who's a professional model, and they went and did an impromptu day of going to all the cool locations around Bali to take photos of his products. That's pretty cool. Why not leverage that? Something else for those of you in a regular job is it's a good opportunity to send those early morning emails. Your time zone means that your afternoon is their morning. You can really impress them by them waking up and they've got all these emails. Emma's been really productive today.
Or Sam being on a conference call before 10 a.m.
Yeah, we had it was like 7 a.m. their time.
It was 5:45.
5:45 their time.
5:45
yeah,
a.m.
Because we're trying to set up this sort of franchise system for Pipehouse Gin for running events around the UK. So we were chatting with one of our first potential franchisees, and they were friends of ours who know me quite well, and they found it hilarious that they were chatting to me at 5:45. So much so, you should put it on our Instagram story.
It was so shocking. She needs to record it.
Yeah, there we go. That's me, early riser. Yeah. Something else we haven't really mentioned is when you're working remotely, you can live a lot cheaper. When starting a business, you don't have that much money, and the more money you can reinvest in the business, the better it's going to do. Whereas if you're living in a high cost of living place, it means that you have to take out enough to cover your expenses. Whereas if you're in Thailand or somewhere cheap, the amount you take out could be a lot less. So you can bootstrap it for longer. You have a longer runway to make the business succeed. And yeah, that's it. So those are my 3 things. Don't be afraid to do a remote job or start a remote business that no one has done remotely before. Being unusual is a USP. And even if you don't want to do a remote job, if you don't want to work remotely, you should be getting your business into a position where you could, because a good business is not reliant on you. A good business doesn't need you there every day. Yeah, let me rephrase that, because a good business is reliant on you. It's just not reliant on you for the day-to-day running of it. It's reliant on you for the big thinking, the strategy.
Creativity.
The creativity. If you are the necessary for the day-to-day running of the business, it also means you are a bottleneck to expansion and scalability. And then, if you are working remotely, yes, your business will probably be worse than if you're just based in one place. But there are some benefits, so leverage those benefits and make the most of it. Alright, Emma Priestley, remote gin distiller. You got anything to add?
No, I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, thanks for listening. if you've got any feedback, or you happen to have a business that works much better remotely. Actually, there probably is one. If you're a travel blogger, being remote is probably quite important for that.
Yeah.
So unless you're a travel blogger and you have a business that works better remotely, then get in touch and tell me what it is. Prove me wrong. And yeah, any feedbacks. So hello@soundprecy.com. And until the next time, adios.
Bye.